pro forma for the spin-offs. Okay, so at a $9 stock, there's 100 million shares. They have about $1.6 billion of debt, and kind of interesting cash flow. Okay. We also have triple downs, and that's coming up in 3 weeks. Okay, but that's a different issue because the Game Fish, which is a e-gaming and online gambling, are two new dynamics that would be extraordinarily attractive in the next 10 years. And hopefully MSG, Madison Square Gardens, gets into the not gambling, but gaming business, where individuals will go and they'll have a League of Legends playoffs. And this is a great new dynamic format. But that's only one little niche of what we like. There's so many companies like housing, right? I want to League of Legends playoffs. And this is a great new dynamic format. But that's only one little niche of what we like. There's so many companies like housing, right? I want to League of Legends playoffs. And this is a great new dynamic format. But that's only one little niche of what we like. There's so many companies like housing, right? I want to League of Legends playoffs. And this is a great new dynamic format. But that's only one little niche of what we like. There's so many companies like housing, right?
Sound test. Fuck is the sound now? Okay. Sound test. Fuck is the sound now? Fuck is the sound? Getting an echo. Getting an echo. Well, it's because I got the thing right here. Okay. Guess I'm gonna have to fucking put it somewhere else. Well, it's because I got the thing right here. So, fucking thing. I'm gonna have to fucking put it somewhere else. This whole freaking rigmarole here. Put it out in the other room. Ah, you son of a bitch.
Making its first mission back to the International Space Station is a rocket explosion last year. Tesla in a billionaire battle of sorts with Amazon's Jeff Bezos about the next frontier. J-Ro's live down in Cape Canaveral with the latest.
Hey, Scott, Jeff Bezos last week in Blue Origin successfully re-landed the same rocket for the third time on land. Now, Musk has done this on land before from a higher altitude, but SpaceX is going to try again to do it from sea. But not only is this the first time that SpaceX is flying its most powerful Falcon 9 rocket to the space station, but also the first time it'll be carrying a Dragon space here. It has a manifest of 70 trips worth $10 billion, and its head of flight reliability says SpaceX plans to pick up the pace.
And I believe there's another one in May, shortly thereafter. So the time between the missions will get shorter and shorter. The other week.
Everything else. It's just reinforcing the image. Yeah, no doubt. Coming up, earnings kicking off next week. A handful of big names, and the trades are just ahead. Right after the break.
Want to hear more from our experts? Head to cnbc.com/halftime for exclusive commentary and behind-the-scenes access. If you're going to make a statement, make sure it's an intelligent one. The all-new Audi A4 with available virtual cockpit. Direction is the single most important thing investors need to know to make money in the market. And no broker, no advisor, no analyst signals market direction like VectorVest. On December 9th, VectorVest signaled a confirmed down, the strongest warning we give to protect profits and prepare for market sell-offs. Test drive VectorVest for yourself. 5 weeks, risk-free, under $10. VectorVest.com. Clear direction for independent investors.
We're at a point in our life where we need investment income. That's why we invest in tax-free municipal bonds.
We love the income they provide us. Income that's federally tax-free.
Okay, so this thing seems to work.
Tax-free income is exactly
I don't know.
what we need.
Fucking, it's
They provide income that's federally tax-free. Take charge of your investments today. Call now to receive your free copy of our informative bond guide. It's free, so call now. 1-800-376-4376. That's 1-800-376-4376.
You both have a perfect driving record.
Perfect.
Tickets, no accidents.
That is until one of you puts a food truck ruining your perfect record.
Yep.
Now, you would think your insurance company would cut you some slack, right?
No, your insurance rates go through the roof. Your perfect record doesn't get you anything.
Anything.
Perfect.
For drivers with accident forgiveness, Liberty Mutual won't raise your rates due to your first accident. And if you do have an accident, our claim centers are available to assist you 24/7. For a free quote, call Liberty Mutual at 1-888-862-3144. Switch to Liberty Mutual and you could save up to $509. Call today at 1-888-862-3144. See car insurance in a whole new light. Liberty Mutual Insurance. It's true what they say. Technology moves faster than ever. The all-new Audi A4 with Apple CarPlay integration.
We want to show you the picture in crude oil right now because it's a pretty one today, up nearly 7%. Mario, when you view energy stocks, what do you see? Opportunity or reason to be fearful?
Both. In other words, we own the equipment producers. The capex by the majors and the minors is going from 800 billion down to 400 billion. So obviously you've got an air pocket. You have what happened in Washington. Who knows why? With Loretta Lynch. I'm sorry. Lynch, the Attorney General of the United States. Any event with the notion of Baker Hughes and Halliburton and so on. So which ones do we buy? Those that are cash flow positive, those that are will help the ducks, the drill but uncapped and capped wells. But when you were here last time, we talked about the Russians and the Saudis blinking, and that's the question mark that comes up at the OPEC meeting coming up in 2 weeks. Production in the United States dropping 500,000 barrels. Demand is rising. The Iranians are coming on with 500,000 barrels. So capacity is there. And from my point of view, I'll make it last. We as a country consume 20 million barrels. The price has gone from 80 to 40. That's $40 times 200 million. That's $800 million a day that consumers saving in one fashion or another. And that hasn't worked its way through the system yet. So we are looking at the users, and we're looking at incrementally down the road as who could make money at these levels.
You were talking about, you mentioned the Attorney General, and you sort of made me think, for a guy who buys stocks, thinking about possible event-driven opportunities in the way that you look at certain companies, how do you feel about what's going on in D.C., where some say goalposts are being moved in the middle of the game?
It reminds me of Manuela Herzog. Why did she really sue? There was money. In this particular case, it's politics. Okay, we have a referendum coming along in England on June 23rd that's going to be of concern and more in focus. And then when you have tax inversions, and we talked about patriotism, I would like to say that what we need to do is make
What's up, Hammer?
businesses competitive and scale them up.
Let me know if you can hear this shit, okay?
You make them less competitive, and 20 years down the road, you don't want to look up and have that lack of competitiveness when compared to Chinese institutions or other.
I read two bank statements. One is the M&T Bank. This guy Wilmer does a great job talking about the local, regional, and country banks, and obviously Jamie talking about the global picture. So I agree with you on that. And regulation is coming because it is a political tool.
And tax inversion is just a subset of taxation, which unfortunately the effective tax rate versus cash is what everybody has to focus on. Yeah, we're talking JP Morgan got a big week next week. JP Morgan earnings, of course, on Wednesday as that season gets hot and heavy. Can't wait for that. Have a great weekend. It's always great to see you. Thanks for being here.
Thanks. A privilege, a pleasure. I'm learning about Mandel.
Mario Gabelli. Power starts now. And welcome to Power Lunch, where we are following three big stories at this hour for you. Number one, oil rallying. You heard Scott and the gang talk about it, but stocks are losing a bit of steam. Meantime, shares of the Gap are deep in the red. Oh, hi, everybody. Tyler off today, but we are certainly glad that you're here and hope that you're having a great end to your work week. All right, let us start with oil, because if you're in the oil business or invest into oil names, it does indeed look like a pretty good end to your week, because crude oil is soaring. Both U.S. and internationally traded crude oil up more than 5%. That is giving a lift to names like Exxon, Chevron, and pretty much nearly every other oil stock out there. Let's find out the reason for this big move and get right to Jackie DeAngels at the NYMEX. Jackie.
Hi, Brian. Well, that's exactly right. A near 7% increase in oil prices on the day today. Remember, this is after the seesaw week here. And, of course, we are near session highs at this point. Some buying the dip here, some technical buying driving the price higher. But there is some fundamental strength, too. And that's because traders are looking at some of the numbers out there, not just from the U.S., but also in Europe, and they're taking them with a positive tone. Meantime, look at U.S. production over the month of March. See in the half screen here, I've got the numbers for you. About a million barrel per day decline here in the United States. We're just over 9 million as of April 1st. Next week could be that inflection point where we drop under that level. Remember, this is down from 9.6 million barrels June last year. So a significant drop here. Those rig count declines that we're going to hear about later in the hour starting to maybe have an impact here. As a matter of fact, Baker Hughes has said this week that for the month of March alone, we're down another 11% in terms of rigs. Meantime, Goldman Sachs saying yesterday that $35 a barrel could be the Goldilocks number for oil. And I want you to consider that, because you could see the price go up, production go up with it, and then slam the price back down. That's the danger here right now, Brian.
All right, Jackie, thank you very much. And you referenced those rig counts. We are waiting for the weekly rig count numbers to cross. Could happen at any moment. Right now, though, let us bring in John Kingston of S&P. John, you just heard Jackie. Is this a fundamental trade? I mean, has something actually shifted in oil supply demand to create this? Or is this more of a trading trade and simply the way that hedge funds and computers are working out the oil contract?
Well, there's nothing that's shifted in the last 24 hours, that's for sure. I know Jackie said it was an up and down week, but there's certainly no news that would have justified a 7% rise over the last 24 hours. So, okay, so let's say, what are the bulls case? First of all, there seems to be a consensus out there that there is some significant short covering going on today. If you are looking for some bullish news, you had the Keystone Pipeline, not the one that was controversial, that was Keystone XL, but the Keystone Pipeline went down, I think, last Saturday. That's almost about 600,000 barrels a day. It's not expected back till next week. So you had that. You've got very strong run numbers in the U.S. for this time of the year. You've got refineries running at well over 16 million barrels a day. That tends to be kind of like a summer number rather than a March or April number. So that's been considered positive.
And John, by the way, we did get the rig count numbers just now. According to Baker Hughes, another 8 oil rigs are off. So we lost 8 rigs last week. We're down to 354 nationwide. We had more than 2,000 operating drilling rigs in the United States in 2008, John. These are the lowest numbers since Baker Hughes began calculating this. When do we really see this production slowdown? Because no new oil is being gone after.
Well, I think you've seen the production slowdown. Jackie commented
100,000 a day, John, out of 9 million.
Well, okay, wait, you started at around 9.6, and now you're down about 9. There's no doubt about it that in 2015, the numbers stayed elevated for a little longer than they were supposed to, maybe a lot longer than what they were supposed to, because the hedging program allowed these companies to continue to operate. Those hedges are mostly off. So that's why you're going to see a lot more of this around 2016 going on. Now, I would say that the Bentek unit of Platts, part of McGraw Hill Financial, continues to hold to its prediction that prices will be sticky around 40, probably drop down toward around, hit over $40, consistently on a WTI basis over the summer, maybe rising to about 42 by the end of the year. But you still got the frac log, as it's been referred to, all the wells that have been drilled but not fracked, they can come on fairly quickly. Also, there's been some signs in the out part of the curve that producers may be hedging out at like $44, $45, which in my view is a very bearish sign because it means that they've looked over their economics and they actually think they can make it go over at $45. So you have had a significant drop. You probably got several 100,000 more barrels a day to add to that total. But at the same time, as one of your guests earlier noted, you've got Iran coming back as well.
All right, John, thanks so much. John Kingston.
Thank you.
As we said, that bump in oil helping big oil companies, stocks that is. Why are stocks overall rallying too? Let's get to Michelle, who is down on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. Michelle.
Hey there, Melissa. Yeah, stocks are well off the session highs. Bob Pisani is here with me. Why is this rally fading?
I'm a little disappointed. Normally, we got the oil flying, we got the dollar down. There doesn't seem to be a lot of enthusiasm. I think the story is the Fed has put a bit of a floor under the market with the Yellen put, at least the perception of the Yellen put. But people are not very enthusiastic about buying right here. They're not sure about how much more upside there is in the market because they're still not sure about the earnings picture. What I'm hoping is you'll get a little more clarity and a little more bullishness from some of these companies going forward. Just take a look at the S&P, though. Go ahead.
Now, I was going to say, the earnings picture, people are very concerned about earnings being down. Do we know to what degree that's already priced in?
It is priced in. We're down about 7.5%, 8%. We've known this for weeks now. I think the risk is to the upside. I think they're going to be a little more optimistic with the dollar on the weak side and maybe improving economic health in the United States. We'll see. But just point out here, the energy stocks are flying today. We had 4-to-1 advancing the declining stocks. Those are great numbers. Look at energy, materials, industrials. These are all the groups that do up on the weak dollar. There's your energy stocks with Devon, Apache, Diamond Offshore, the usual suspects, even big oil. Conoco and big oil on the upside nicely. So I do think there's concerns about how much more upside there is in the market. Meantime, all the consumer discretionary getting hit because Gap had just not good commentary. The inventory levels are very high, and there's a lot of concern out there that it is not a Gap-specific problem, that there may be an issue with consumers, and of course they got to reprice all of that inventory that's out there.
Got it. Thanks, Bob.
Okay.
Bob Pisani. Let's discuss more about the market. Christina Hooper is U.S. investment strategist for Allianz Global Investors. They tell me that you think the market is fully valued here, Christina. She's joining us here on the floor. And co-manager of the Hodges Small Cap Fund sees many stocks trading at a discount. Guy, thanks for joining us. Christina, you think the market is fully valued at this point, so you wouldn't be buying here? What do you do?
It really is tactically moving. What we expect is to see shifts in
Check it out, dog. Can you see me?
shifts in investment style leadership because there's so much uncertainty. And so those crosswinds should be buffeting
And that's really what we're doing at the Hodges Funds, is really going in, focusing on
Like
individual
those ideas, Christina, what would you do at this point? You said you don't like the overall market, but you have to pick and choose. So what would you pick? I'd be tactically moving. Right now, I would favor technology, and to a certain extent, I'd look for opportunities to buy healthcare because we are seeing growth there, but we have to worry about the presidential election potentially impacting. They've all gotten so hammered because of the campaign rhetoric that we've heard in particular. What if you get somebody who says that we're going to go to, a one-payer system here, or that we're going to start imposing price controls on drugs? There's a big risk there, no? It's scary to hear that, but let's think about the potential composition of Congress and how likely a scenario like that really is. It's scary, so it sends stocks down, but it doesn't necessarily mean there's anything to truly be worried about. The other thing I would say is we need to be worried about inflation right now. The Fed holding back, sitting on its hands, being a little more accommodative, opens the door for inflation. I don't think it's a likely scenario, but it is a potential scenario that we have to worry about. All right, Christina, thanks so much. Eric, thanks so much. With Allianz Global Investors, and he's with the Hodge Small Cap Fund. Let's go to powerlunch.cnbc.com and see the 3 things that Christina says will move the markets in the coming months. That's at powerlunch.cnbc.com. Melissa. All right, Michelle, you mentioned the shares of the Gap. They are down after the retailer reported another drop in same-store sales. Gap's moved lower, weighing on the entire retail sector. In fact, the XRP is on track for its worst week since the start of the year. Joining us on the CNBC News
Groovy, huh?
Myers, the retail analyst at MKM Partners. Roxanne, great to have you here. So they have terrible same-store
The volume
numbers.
is gonna be a fucking problem.
Retailer we've heard from, also Lulu indicated that it was having some difficulty in March. And so I'm wondering if you think that there's a problem more broadly when it comes to consumer spending, when it comes to retail in general.
Yeah, we're certainly trying to put together all the pieces. As you mentioned, Lulu went from having a double-digit comp in 4Q. They're projecting it to fall sequentially to a mid-single-digit level, so that took the market by surprise. Now we're hearing Gap with a sharp decline in traffic in the back half of March. I would tell you in our weekly promotional checks, we noticed this past week that retailers in general were more promotional this week than last year when they anniversaried Easter. That was something that really took us off guard.
You're concerned about your space right now?
I am concerned. I think there's incrementally a little bit more reason to be concerned. And, as it relates to stocks, what I'd say is after being way underweight in 2015, the setup seemed really good.
Right.
You've got a low bar. Weather compares are easy. We're anniversarying some West Coast port issues. And inventories in the specialty channel were relatively healthy. So this is really taking the group by surprise, and that's why you see it, I think, down as much as it is, because now we're extrapolating that maybe something is wrong here.
Yep. Roxanne, thanks for phoning in. Appreciate it. Roxanne Meyer of MKM. Straight ahead, we are live to Panama City. The co-founder of the law firm at the center of the Panama Papers financial scandal speaks out. You will not want to miss this
There's some
very
drums.
big interview. You're watching CNBC. Talking Business.
research agronomist at Coke. We're challenging ourselves to create more advanced fertilizers that deliver nutrients to our crops more efficiently while respecting our environment so farmers can apply less and grow more. We are Coke.
Hear about the senator? He had to resign, got caught sexting.
It was health reasons.
Who was it?
Well, let's ask Washington Bureau Chief Susan Page.
He had to resign for health reasons.
Read Susan Page and get the facts, not the fiction. USA Today.
There's a Michael Wolf here to see you.
Read Michael Wolf and thank your lucky stars he's not writing about you. USA Today.
This is off the record. With Mario Perillo, Mr. Italy, and Alitalia, you don't have to remember my dad? You'd be proud that we've added custom-designed Italy vacations to our legendary escorted tours. While generations come and go, something's never changed, like the quality and value that we provide on all our tours. Call now for your free brochure at number 324-4051 to get your EAP and a free subscription to the Burlow Traveler magazine. Call in the next 30 minutes, and when you travel with us, get this free $100 travel card. Call 800-324-4051. Are hard to afford. All of this is costing you more than you thought it would. There is a solution. You can call and update your coverage. The calling advice are free. Call now. The Medicare Coverage Helpline. Free call, free advice, no obligation. Make sure you have all you deserve and update your coverage. Call the Medicare Coverage Helpline now.
Call 800-297-1625. That's 800-297-1625. 800-297-1625.
Take a look at this video. Former Cuban President Fidel Castro making a rare appearance on Cuban state television on Thursday, speaking to an audience of school children. This is rare because lately the Cuban government has only released photos and or silent video of the former leader of the country, but he could be heard talking on this piece of tape. He was there to honor a fellow Cuban revolutionary. Fidel Castro is 89. He told the children this type of school is getting close to a kind of dream. Brian and Melissa, you should look at this as just like proof of life. You know, when somebody's kidnapped and they send out a photo and somebody's holding up a newspaper that has the date on it, Cuban government does this on occasion to prove that Fidel Castro is still alive, because there are frequently rumors that he is not alive or that he is so befuddled he can't speak anymore.
For a few cigars a day, Michelle, 89 is not a bad way. There you go, Michelle. Thank you. All right. One of the most secretive law firms in the world is Secret No More. After the leak of more than 11 million documents, the Panamanian law firm of Mossack Fonseca become a household name. But what exactly is Mossack Fonseca, and who are the people behind it? Eamon Javers, traveling to Panama City, he got exclusive access inside of the law firm. Eamon, what have you learned?
Yeah, hi, Brian. We're sitting here inside the law firm Mossack Fonseca right now, and as you say, here in Panama City, this law firm is probably one of the most scrutinized law firms anywhere in the world right now, given the breaking news around the world of the Panama Papers scandal that broke on Sunday last week. I had a chance just recently to sit down with Jürgen Mossack. He is the co-founder of this law firm, and I asked him if he says he's done nothing wrong, which he does say, and he says this firm has done nothing wrong. I asked him, if that is the case, why do they think that all of these clients from all around the world are coming here to Panama to do business? Here's what he said.
There's another misconception here. They were not coming to Panama. They were coming to jurisdictions all over the world. In fact, many of them were coming to places like Delaware in the United States, who also incorporate companies in the very same fashion as we incorporate them here. But Panama is just our base. We incorporate companies in many jurisdictions all over the world. In fact, the minority of these companies are from Panama.
It's a guitar test.
Any requests yet for information from international authorities, Interpol, or the FBI in the U.S.?
Not directly. When we get a request, it normally comes from government to government.
States is, how come we're not seeing more prominent American names? We're seeing political figures all around the world, but no Americans involved in this scandal in a big way just yet. Does this firm have American clients?
No. I mean, there may be a few. You could count them probably with fingers of two hands, but when we accept an American client, then it is only if and when they produce a legal opinion from an American lawyer or tax advisor who certifies to us that the American client has complied with all laws and regulations of the United States.
Are any of your American clients political figures?
No, definitely not.
Are you proud of the business that you've done here?
I am very proud of it. Because it's a business that contributes to the international financial community in matters where never have dealt with. I'm sure we will survive it. Certainly what has happened has not been helpful, but survive, yes.
What's next in this story? I mean, one point many people have made is this is just the inner workings of one law firm in one jurisdiction in one part of the world. Where do you think this story goes next? Where should people be looking?
I think we are one of many firms who does this service, mostly out of OECD countries, which just happen to be based here. But there are many firms, not only law firms, there are many firms where you don't even have to be an attorney, who are company providers in the United Kingdom, in the United States, in many European countries. They are all doing the same business as we do. We just happen to have been hacked. You're the ones who got caught. I wouldn't say we have been caught because we haven't done anything illegal. That means that we haven't been caught. We have been hacked.
Michelle, Jürgen Mossack told me that he believes that this firm has been hacked by a sophisticated computer hacker, but he said they don't have any idea yet, despite the forensics that they've done to try to figure out where this attack came from. They don't have any idea.
Yeah, and he seemed to come down on the side that everybody should get it regardless of what kind of person they were.
Right, absolutely. And that's going to be the debate around the world because there are other jurisdictions, as he pointed out, that do this, including in the United States, similar amounts of secrecy in terms of the legal structure of these various corporate entities. And the question is, do governments around the world, does the public around the world have an ability to get into that? Should they be able to see all that?
Thanks, Eamon.
Eamon Javers, we're going to see more throughout the day on CNBC. Thank you. Could JP Morgan actually exit the mortgage business? CEO Jamie Dimon's shocking response to a question about just that. That's ahead on Power Lunch.
At Angie's List, we guarantee a fair price, quality service, and that horrible smells are really good at hiding.
Oh boy, there it is. Oh.
So when you need a house cleaner or an exterminator, we can help you get the job done right, guaranteed. Get started today at Angie's List, because your home is
municipal bonds don't typically get the media coverage that the stock market does.
In fact, some people may even find them boring.
What they typically do offer is a stream of income that's federally tax-free. Municipal bonds from Henyon & Walsh can give you income that's tax-free, and you have to admit, tax-free income can be very exciting. At Henyon & Walsh, we offer you tax-free municipal bonds from across the country, so you can benefit from tax-free income wherever you live. There's nothing boring about that. If you have at least $10,000 to invest, we want to send you our exclusive bond guide for free. 1-800-376-4376. That's 1-800-376-4376. We're out to prove that tax-free income can be very exciting indeed. For your free bond guide, call now. 1-800-376-4376. 1-800-376-4376. I talk with my mouth, but I sell with my hands.
You're the leading video conference champion, Scott Steele. Dialing in hot, Penny Kruger. And 3D Governor Meeting Video Conference Champion, Ed Feldman.
With Booking.com's free cancellation, you could just forget the beach wedding and the beach booty. You could just book a different resort, like in Alaska. They've got igloos.
Welcome back to Power Lunch. Lots of energy-related stocks sharply in the green today. Murphy Oil, Devon Energy, Diamond Offshore, Transocean, all up by at least 3%. Those stocks are following this week's rally in oil itself. Crude up more than 6% today, just under $40 again per barrel. Power Lunch, more back in 2 minutes after the break.
Mary buys a little lamb, one of millions of orders on this company's servers, accessible by thousands of suppliers and employees globally. But with cyber threats on the rise, Mary's data could be under attack. With the help of the AT&T network, a network that senses and mitigates cyber threats, their critical data is safer than ever, giving them the agility to be open and secure. Because no one knows and like AT&T.
Municipal bonds don't typically get the media coverage that the stock market does. In fact, some people may even find them boring. What they typically do offer is a stream of income that's federally tax-free. Municipal bonds from Henyon & Walsh can give you income that's tax-free, and you have to admit, tax-free income can be very exciting. At Henyon & Walsh, we offer you tax-free municipal bonds from across the country, so you can benefit from tax-free income wherever you live. There's nothing boring about that. If you have at least $10,000 to invest, we want to send you our exclusive bond guide for free. 1-800-376-4376. That's 1-800-376-4376. We're out to prove that tax-free income can be very exciting indeed. For your free bond guide, call now. 1-800-376-4376. 1-800-376-4376.
The new Craftsman Pro Series riding mowers. Now available with power steering, so you can turn with ease. Available with the tightest turning radius in the industry. And powerful V-twin engines with up to 26 horsepower. Because the beer you drink after you mow your lawn tastes better than the beer you drink after someone else mows your lawn. Craftsman, when it matters.
Great time for a shiny floor wax, no? Not if you just put the finishing touches on your latest masterpiece. Timing's important. Comcast Business knows that. That's why you can schedule an installation at a time that works for you, even late at night or on the weekend if that's what you need, because you have enough to worry about. I did not see that come.
Don't deal with disruptions. Get better internet installed on your schedule. Comcast Business, built for business.
There are times where stocks are very stretched, but ultimately stocks represent a better value for the
average person than anything else out there. So don't let the bubblehead scare you away from making money with your money.
CNBC News Update is sponsored by Comcast Business. Comcast Business, built for business.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sue Herrera. Here's your CNBC News Update this hour. Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders paid a visit to the Today Show Plaza this morning, downplaying his feud with rival Hillary Clinton.
I've known Hillary Clinton for 25 years. I respect Hillary Clinton. We were colleagues in the Senate. And on her worst day, she would be an infinitely better president than either of the Republican candidates.
A ceasefire in the breakaway region of Nagorno-Karabakh is at risk of being fractured as Russia leads diplomatic efforts to resolve the conflict. Azerbaijan accused Armenian-backed separatists of violating the ceasefire. The Armenian side has accused Azerbaijan of shelling its positions. Saudi Arabian King Salman announcing a bilateral agreement to build a bridge connecting his country with Egypt in order to boost commerce between the two nations. He spoke at a joint news conference with Egyptian President El-Sisi on the second day of his visit to Cairo. International journalists visiting the ancient Syrian city of Palmyra after Syrian troops retook it from Islamic militants. And while some of that city's most prominent monuments and archaeological sites were destroyed, many are still standing despite having been defaced with graffiti. You're up to date. That's the news update this hour. Melissa, back to you.
All right, Sue, thank you so much. Let's take a check on gold prices. Gold is closing right now. So what we have here, this is really a reflection, the intraday chart, of what's going on in the equities market today. You see the uptick, slight float in the price of gold starting about 10 o'clock, and that's when the gains on the S&P 500 started to dissipate. Gold at $1243.90 an ounce right now, up by about 0.5%. Taking a look at the rest of the metals complex here, we do have a green day across the board, with silver one of the biggest gainers right now, up by 1.4%, along with platinum, copper, and palladium up just fractionally. Now let's get to the bond market. Checking with Rick Santelli up at CME. Rick.
Hi, Melissa Lee. If you look at intraday of 10s, we're only down a couple of basis points, and we had weak inventories and sales data on the wholesale side for February, taken away from GDP. Atlanta GDP now only 0.1. 1/10 of 1%. 1 week of 10s clearly shows we're down about a half a dozen basis points on the week, but maybe more important is the relationship with other interest rates and sovereigns like the Boon. Look at a 1 week of the Boon. Look at how many times we knocked at the door getting close to its all-time low yield close of 7. Close basically unchanged on the day, but down 4 basis points on the week. And when you're down 4 basis points in a week and you're selling at 09, you don't really want to look at the percentages. They're a little aggressive there. Dollar yen, today was supposed to be the day we break the 5-day streak of the dollar not improving against the yen, or the yen doing better against the dollar. But it's really getting close now to be the 6th day as the yen is making a comeback, as you see on that chart. The last chart, I'll tell you what, if everything is so rosy and Mario Draghi has it all figured out, why is the DAX backing away so aggressively from that 10,000 mark? Michelle, back to you and have a good weekend.
All good questions. That yen situation, very interesting. Let's bring in Bob Pisani to talk more about why this rally is losing steam. I don't want to delve too deep into currencies, but the yen appears to be perhaps once again getting to the point where it may strengthen again. And can you explain really basically why on earth somebody at home should care about whether or not the yen strengthens and why it would move the U.S. stock market?
What happens in the yen carry trade is you go out and you essentially rely on the fact that you're flat to negative interest rates over in Japan. That means you can borrow dirt cheap.
So I go over to Japan as a trader and I borrow a ton of stuff because it costs nothing.
Absolutely. And what do? You take that money and you go overseas and you buy stuff. You buy equities. You buy European stocks and you buy U.S. stocks. This is great as long as the yen stays weak. But if the trade reverses, the yen starts to strengthen.
I get nervous. I think, oh my gosh, I got to cover my shorts. How do I do that?
You've got to sell equities. Those equities you bought, those European stocks and those U.S. stocks, particularly financials, which are a favorite of these guys who play this, we call it the yen carry trade, they sell that. And that's what's been happening in the last couple of weeks as the yen has been strengthening.
Super interesting also. I'm looking at oil reapproaching 40 here for WTI. Since January 1, most days, if oil is sharply higher, stocks are sharply higher. We keep waiting for that correlation to break. This is maybe a sign of, I mean, stocks are still up, we should point out.
I find this disappointing today. We talked about this earlier. Dollar down, oil up sharply in the past has been, normally we would be up 150, 200, even 250. flows from the weak dollar. I think the problem right now is they're not sure how much upside there is to the markets. We know there's a bit of a floor. Janet Yellen being very dovish. Traders believe there's a bit of a floor there, but we don't know how much upside is, and I think that's making people a little bit reticent. That's why I'm waiting for the earnings season. I think we're going to hear a little more optimism than people think for earnings. That's why I'm modestly bullish. I call the market a solid hold. I've been saying that for 2 weeks right now.
Thank you, Bob. Opposite Brian.
All right, well, check out this incredible video from one of America's largest refineries. A massive fire broke out at ExxonMobil's Baytown facility late yesterday. That aerial footage shows large flames, thick black smoke coming from the factory, which is located near the Houston Ship Channel. Firefighters using large water cannons to try to extinguish the flames. They did. ExxonMobil says the fire posed no threat to residents nearby. No injuries. Still waiting on word of any reduction in capacity at Baytown, which is 3,400 acres and the second biggest chemical and gasoline refinery in the United States.
What's so amazing is that there's another fire in Houston, LyondellBasell refinery.
This was Chemical Company.
Yeah. Huge fire.
Bad day for
A bad day for Houston.
Well, the entire oil and gas industry has been a
Sit on that
dumpster fire
couch, dog.
for the past 12 months. Now you actually have a fire. All right, coming up, the shocking question in Jamie Dimon's letter to investors. And what it may mean for your ability to get a mortgage loan. That ahead with Power Lunch.
The Bond Report is sponsored by PIMCO.
Finally, there's a powerful, non-toxic, all-natural kitchen cleaner from a pure and simple people.
Introducing Dutch Glow Amish Cleaning Tonic. It's tough enough to tackle even the toughest burns on food.
Get gently on granite and in your microwave without leaving a toxic chemical residue behind.
We sprayed our cleaning tonic directly onto this food vent screen to show what happens when it mixes with water. Look how it immediately breaks down years of cooking grease and smoke. Call now to get your cleaning tonic concentrate for just $14.99. Enough to make 4 bottles of our super strong kitchen cleaner. But call right now and we'll double your order free. That's enough concentrate to make 8 bottles.
And to make this an irresistible offer, we'll also include our Dutch Glow Power Pad. It won't rust or fall apart, and you get it absolutely free.
But for this exclusive TV offer, you'll get a second bottle of concentrate. Just pay separate shipping and processing. That's enough to make 16 bottles of Amish Cleaning Tonic and our stainless steel power pad. That's a huge value. Here's how to order. Call 1-800-372-8208 or go online to cleaningtonic.com. Order now. Do you own mutual funds? You may be paying fees and costs of up to 5% and not even know it. Fisher Investments isn't a mutual fund, and we don't have hidden fees. Do you own an annuity? Your broker may have made a commission of 8% or more when he sold it to you. Are you sure he had your best interests in mind? At Fisher Investments, we're not brokers, and we don't earn commissions on trades or by selling you products. With our model, as your portfolio grows, we grow. Call Fisher Investments today and get our free guide, 99 Retirement Tips, from founder and Forbes columnist Ken Fisher. This guide will help you get ready for retirement or could make your retirement even better. Find out how to not run out of money, how to reduce your taxes during retirement, plus 97 tips.
Let me check it out. I don't even know.
Get our free guide and help make your
I don't
retirement
even know how to fucking do this.
today. Call now, 1-800-710-8600. 1-800-710-8600.
Reviewers.
The New York Times shedding some more light on
Let's
the
see.
management dilemma, if you want to call it that, at Disney, between current
Cameraman.
CEO Bob Iger and
Screen
his
share.
anticipated successor,
Chat.
Thomas Staggs, who has now been
I
pushed
can
out
chat
of the
Google.
company. We've seen this before, though, where board members are unable to find a
Chat.
claim they can't. What is the issue here?
I don't know about YouTube. I'll have to.
Or a CEO setting too high of a standard. Let's bring in Jeff Sonnenfeld, Yale School of Management, Senior Associate Dean for Executive Programs, and Gordon Bethune, former Continental Airlines Chairman and
I don't
CEO,
know
who knows a little
I
something.
don't know what the fuck is going on there. Let me try on the other computer.
Thomas Staggs seemed like an heir apparent, literally saved Bob Iger's life 13 years ago by giving him the Heimlich maneuver. I guess that gets you 13 years on the board. What do you think happened at Disney?
Well, he did manage to get some fresh breath into poor Bob Iger at a scary moment, and I think he's played some critical roles throughout his career at Disney beyond saving Bob Iger's life. But in terms of the next stage of life for Disney, it became pretty apparent he wasn't the right guy for the spot. I think this is a board operating at its absolute best. The easiest thing for them to do would have stayed on the conveyor belt and put on a guy who is, would have done a defined job in a much more sort of quote custodial role.
So Jeff,
not creative.
You said obviously not the right guy for the job. I understand that Thomas Staggs is a professional, and you don't want to slam him. You don't want to say, well, here's where he was lacking. But do you believe that Disney should at least provide investors? It is one of the most widely owned stocks in the world. Provide investors with more insight into exactly why they decided he was not the CEO. Should they say we just don't think he has the the operational or the creative capacity or whatever it might be?
Well, I think there's no reason to disparage him. He's been a great guy. He's a very strong CFO and did a wonderful job running the theme parks. But this is a business where, under this last decade, under the leadership of Bob Iger, this company's performed better than it has in its entire storied history. But stories is what this place is about. Really creative storytelling, a sense of drama and imagination, and that vision thing was not his strong suit. And when you put somebody in trial basis, you have to listen to what you hear in the trials. And the creative world was telling them, this guy, maybe for a different industry, is a great guy, but there's no misconduct here. There's no reason to have some revelations of a problem with a guy who is a very talented, very loyal executive. But again, it's too often we've seen companies from Procter and Gamble several times to Exxon Mobil and others where they put the VP, they put in the guy who's next in line that to the rest of us looked like a bag carrier, maybe an engineer or a technocrat, wasn't a visionary.
Gordon, how should CEOs in the role right now think about their successors? I mean, I will remember back to Apple when everybody was questioning whether or not Tim Cook would be sufficient to fill Steve Jobs' very large shoes. And the argument was constantly made that he is no Steve Jobs. I mean, that's sort of unfair. And look at what happened with Apple under Tim Cook. It actually hit its record high on the stock price. So, in terms of this notion that they need to fill the shoes of the predecessor, where should a board come down on that?
I think it needs a partnership, Melissa. The CEO shouldn't be the decision maker. The board needs his input, but they need to have more than just one candidate, which I think may be negligent because you should always have a deeper bench than that. You don't know what's going to happen. But then there's the summer Redstones and those founders of companies that stay on forever. So there's got to be a board with a plan and having the CEO identify multiple successors and groom those people so that there's a choice to be made when it's time to go.
The fact that we are, Gordon, right now thinking about who could possibly take over Bob Iger's position, and we don't really have a whole long list of candidates, is that negligent on the part of Disney's board, in your view? Should they have had that deep enough bench where you could say, you know what, it's beyond Tom Staggs, it's this guy, and this guy, and they're all lined up ready to go?
Well, the best companies do. I don't want to say negligent because I don't want to criticize, but the best companies develop 2 to 3 people. They bring them on, they try them in different roles and get the feeling for what the challenge or the superiority is going to be, and then they make a decision. I've been there a bunch of times. It's the right thing to do. Work as a partnership, multiple people on the bench, and then make a decision about a year out.
And Jeff, I want to be clear. I'm not saying Disney needs to disparage the guy at all. I mean, but if your shortstop is batting 167 and striking out twice a game, he's going to go on the bench. Disney seems like a company that, with the exception of, they've got to adjust ESPN a little bit, is firing on all cylinders. Everything, Frozen was the biggest hit in the world. Everything seemed to be going well. Then suddenly the number 2 is he's benched. Don't we need to know a little more why? It doesn't have to even be about Staggs. It just has to be maybe about their methodology. What are they thinking?
You're right. Frozen was a big hit. And of course, the Star Wars return was a spectacular, historic hit. And you look at theatricals, they're up 46% in revenues and free cash flow, up like 86, 87%. It's amazing how well they're doing, up 400% in total shareholder return over the last decade under the CEO is under Bob Iger. But in the trial assignment, if he didn't do so well in this next role, which is inspiring creative, they don't have to go out and trash him. But to Gordon's point, and Melissa, excellent question, there's no negligence when you have 2.5 years. Name me any company we've had on air this week or this month that can tell us 5 years before a succession who the CEO is going to be. No, if they did, that's the mistake. It's called stacking, and it's a big mistake to do that. You want to make the best decision closer in. 2.5 years is plenty of time to groom somebody. But they tried even earlier with an internal candidate to see what grooming needs to be done with these trial assignments. And if you're going to do a trial assignment, let's make it work. But I think this was, you see these monarchs, especially in show show business, as you mentioned, some of the Redstone and others, people stay on too long as a monarch. This isn't a great ambassadorial succession. I wrote a book about it even called The Hero's Farewell, and this is the ideal process.
Jeff Sonnenfeld and Gordon Bethune, gentlemen, both thank you for your insight. Have a great weekend, guys. We'll see you soon. You too. Thanks. Have politicians officially declared a war on American business? We've got more on that great debate. Straight talk, the price of oil. A lot more to do on this Friday. We are back with more Power Lunch right after this.
When a moment turns romantic, why pause to take a pill? Or stop to find a bathroom? Cialis for daily use is approved to treat both erectile dysfunction and the urinary symptoms of BPH, like needing to go frequently, day or night. Tell your doctor about all your medical conditions and medicines and ask if your heart is healthy enough for sex. Do not take Cialis if you take nitrates for chest pain or Adempas for pulmonary hypertension, as it may cause an unsafe drop in blood pressure. Do not drink alcohol in excess. Side effects may include headache, upset stomach, delayed backache, or muscle ache. To avoid long-term injury, get medical help right away for an erection lasting more than 4 hours. If you have any sudden decrease or loss in hearing or vision, or any symptoms of an allergic reaction, stop taking Cialis and get medical help right away. Ask your doctor about Cialis and a $200 savings card.
You think you've already found your ideal hotel? Well, before you book, check on Trivago to see whether you can book it somewhere else for an even better price. Hotel? Trivago.
CNBCMakeit.com helps you guides, testimonials, success secrets, a destination for dreamers, doers, and game changers. Stop thinking about what you could be. Make it real. CNBCMakeit.com.
With Empire today's half price sale, our best sale. Get beautiful floors and professional installation for half price. That's carpet with installation, half price. Hardwood with installation, half price. Tile or vinyl plus installation, half price. And laminate with installation, half price. See samples in your home or shop at our first ever stores in Westbury and Comac on Long Island. It's Empire's half price sale. Schedule now.
800-588-2300 Empire.
Today.
When your equipment doesn't work, it ruins your day. That's why at Troyville, we do everything we can to break our products here, so they won't let you down here.
JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon's letter to shareholders getting a lot of buzz this week. Something in the letter that hasn't been talked about is this. Dimon says one of the questions he gets from investors are, why are you still in the mortgage business? And Dimon responds, that is a valid question. With us now is Bethany McLean, CNBC contributor, contributing editor at Vanity Fair. Bethany, I found this astounding. Writing mortgages, doing mortgages, bread and butter of what a bank in America is supposed to do, and yet what has happened to the situation with mortgages in America that an investor would suggest that JP Morgan shouldn't be in that business at all?
Well, if you look since the financial crisis, the Wall Street Journal actually added it up recently. The big banks have paid a total of $110 billion in fines to the government as a result of their conduct in the years running up to the financial crisis. Added credit-related losses on the mortgage business and the reputational cost to the big banks, you can see why there would be questions about why on earth you'd be in this business.
Yeah, he goes on to say the mortgage business can be volatile and has experienced increasingly lower returns. I think we have a full screen as new regulations add both sizable costs and higher capital requirements, getting much more expensive to do. And yet he decides he's going to stick with it.
Right. Well, for precisely the reasons that you articulated articulated when you raised the question, which is a bank has to be in this business. And he goes on to say, this is really important. This is a really key financial product to our customers, and we need to be in this business. And look, JP Morgan is not pulling back from the business overall. They're making a lot of money doing it. They're still the number 2 mortgage originator and servicer. What they have pulled back on is riskier loans, making loans to riskier customers. And Diamond also says that if he never had to service another defaulted mortgage again, he'd be very happy. And that's the part of the business that has been really expensive to banks. And there's a real issue there.
Yeah, let's underline that. When a house goes into foreclosure, it becomes incredibly expensive to service. He actually goes on to say, we don't do FHA loans anymore because they're far more likely to default, and boy, that's expensive. And if we make a mistake, we get fined very heavily.
Right, and he says, which I found actually the most frightening part of his comments on this section, he says, even if there's so many new rules, that even if we're trying really hard not to make mistakes, we're going to make mistakes. And that means one of 2 things. Either the rules are way too cumbersome or JP Morgan is really incompetent, right? But it shouldn't be that if you're trying really hard not to make mistakes, that you're still going to get caught up in a dragnet.
Hi, by the way. How are you? Even the government knows that if JP Morgan Chase left the mortgage business, a lot of people are going to be not able to get a loan, and loan prices will go up. The market will be simply more illiquid. Diamond knows this. Congress knows this. You know Jamie Dimon a little bit, I believe. How much of this might be just game theory, a little brinksmanship? Why don't I rattle Congress's cage a bit?
It's probably some of that. I think he's trying to make a point. But look, JP Morgan is going nowhere in the mortgage business. Their business is growing, and they're making an enormous amount of money at it. They have gone somewhere, though. They have, and a lot of other big banks really have left this market for riskier mortgages. And it's a really complicated question why that is, but a large part has to do with the potential fines they might get in that business. They don't want to go anywhere near it. And that's a real issue because you have a lot of more credit-constrained borrowers who can't get mortgages. And we can have another debate about whether that should be or whether that shouldn't be, but it's having a real impact on homeownership rates and on housing availability for people. So that part of it, that segment of the business is a real issue.
All right, Bethany, thanks for delving into this with us. We really appreciate it. Bethany McLean.
Thanks for having me.
Fed Chair Janet Yellen and 3 of her predecessors taking the stage at the International House in New York City last night. We're going to tell you what they said on the economy, the limits of the Fed, bubbles, when Power Lunch returns.
If you're going to make a statement, make sure it's an intelligent one. The all-new Audi A4 with available virtual cockpit.
You both have a perfect driving record.
Perfect.
Tickets, no accidents.
That is until one of you puts a food truck ruining your perfect record.
Yep.
Now, you would think your insurance company would cut you some slack, right?
No, your insurance rates go through the roof. Your perfect record doesn't get you anything.
Anything.
Perfect.
For drivers with accident forgiveness, Liberty Mutual won't raise your rates due to your first accident. And if you do have an accident, our claim centers are available to assist you 24/7. For a free quote, call Liberty Mutual at 1-888-862-3144. Switch to Liberty Mutual and you could save up to $509. Call today at 1-888-862-3144. See car insurance in a whole new light. Liberty Mutual Insurance.
We're at a point in our lives where we need investment income. That's why we invest in tax-free municipal bonds.
We love the income they provide us. Income that's federally tax-free. And at this point in our lives, tax-free income is exactly what we need.
Tax-free municipal bonds can serve as the cornerstone for a conservative portfolio. They offer income that's tax-free. Hennion & Walsh is a leading expert in tax-free municipal bonds, committed to finding you the best bonds to meet your investment goals. We'll even send you our informative bond guide absolutely free if you call right now, 1-800-376-4376. If you have at least $10,000 to invest, consider municipal bonds. They provide income that's federally tax-free. Take charge of your investments today. Call now to receive your free copy of our informative bond guide. It's free, so call now, 1-800-376-4376. That's 1-800-376-4376.
It's true what they say. Technology moves faster than ever. The all-new Audi A4 with Apple CarPlay integration.
I've been covering small business for about 5 years. Sometimes I stay in touch with people that I cover, not just because they're good sources, but because I want to see them succeed. I've learned it's less about numbers, and it's more about people who believe in what they're creating. A historic event last night at the International House in New York City. For the first time, Fed Chair Janet Yellen appearing on a panel with her three living predecessors. Ben Bernanke, Paul Volcker with her on stage, Alan Greenspan joining by a teleconference. Let's bring in CNBC senior economics reporter Steve Mason. What an extraordinary event.
It was really quite remarkable to watch, and there were some real human moments. There was a great sneeze by Alan Greenspan. But one of the things everybody's talking about today is this idea that Fed Chair Janet Yellen said we're not in a bubble. And we thought, you know what? What if this were Jeopardy? We did like famous last words from the Fed for $100.
Right.
And then Alan Greenspan noted this idea about how the Fed monetary policy is about forecasting, and the Fed's ability to forecast is very limited. So we went back and we looked, Melissa, for fun, maybe just call it a Jeopardy edition of what we're calling Fed forecasting follies. This is probably the most famous one. How do we know when irrational exuberance of newly escalated asset values, which then became subject to unexpected and prolonged contractions? That was Alan Greenspan in '96, talking about the stock market being overvalued. Alex, what is 75%? That's how much the Dow Jones went up after Alan Greenspan made that comment. I said, Melissa, what is 75%? Let's go down to the next one. I believe Ben Bernanke in February 2006. Our expectation is that the decline in activity or the slowing inactivity will be moderate, that house price will probably continue to rise. Melissa, what is minus 20%?
Wow.
Minus 19%. That's how much housing prices fell from when Ben Bernanke said that. Now, they basically called along the way, and they brought down inflation. We're just picking out the follies here. And then, of course, there's Janet Yellen. Equity valuations of smaller firms as well as social media and biotechnology firms appear to be stressed. July 2014. Do you want to take a guess? What is 45%? That's how much biotech went up.
That's amazing.
So they're not all that wonderfulness, right? And it really raises an existential question about the Fed. We had Austin Goolsbee on here. They talked about, look, this forecasting model has not really proven great. We know that running policy based on gold creates undue restrictions on their ability to react to changes in the business cycle. So we need some way to figure out what the right quantity and price of money is, and we're a little bit sort of groping in the dark right now.
So what's the conclusion of all that? That they've got to find another methodology?
I think they have to. It looks like Brian over there wants to grope in the dark a little bit. But Brian, did you want to?
You know my views a little bit. I will say this, Steve. Okay, here we go. I'm going to do this delicately. The Fed is data-driven.
Right.
They're way off a lot of their projections.
Right.
Which, is that sort of ergo facto, the data sucks?
The data is bad, and we've done a lot of work on that, Brian, as you know. We've talked about it.
Should we fundamentally rethink the data, I guess, is my point.
That's an excellent point. I mean, right now, we're in the middle of another weak first quarter. You know, the work I've done on how we've had these string of weak first quarters. I just did some work on how GDP, when it comes out in a quarter, could eventually be revised to be plus or minus 1.3%. And the question becomes, how do you run a monetary policy that's data dependent when you can't depend on the data? And that's really a problem. I think at this moment, you've got to do the best you can. I know there are guys like, Larry Kudlow, who makes the idea of talking about a basket of goods or some sort of commodity basket to run monetary policy that way. But if you're going to have a unified currency, man, or in this case, woman, must decide on a quantity or a price of money.
By the way, he's like Beetlejuice. You say Kudlow twice more.
Kudlow.
He's actually here.
He's here.
You guys are both making very important points. All you want to do, though, is you want to have it more market-driven. Right. Yeah. In other words, I don't mean day-to-day markets either, but you're trying to capture trends in financial markets, in commodity basket markets, and in currency basket markets. So they'll tell you a story. And I think we agree. I don't know. To me, the story is do not raise rates right now. Do not. There's more deflation than inflation. And I think the economy is not good at all. So I would cease and desist, which I think is Yellen's message, Steve. And also at the economics chart,
That's right.
she cited markets. She cited spreads. She cited tips inflation expectations.
Absolutely.
I think she's making great progress. Excellent progress.
All right, Larry, we'll see you in a little bit.
Thank you.
Steve, thank you.
My pleasure.
Steve Leisman. All right, we are, coming up on 2 o'clock on Wall Street, half an hour away from the oil close, and we're seeing a big gain in oil. In fact, it is the biggest one-day gain since February 12th. So what's driving oil higher today? Fundamentals are short covering. Let's bring in Alan Harry from Harry RE Trust at the NYMEX. Harry, great to have you. Steve Leisman had been going through Janet Yellen's speech yesterday. Some people are saying that has helped. I doubt it's helped to the tune of 6.5% today. So what's driving this rally?
Well, we got a couple things in there. Yes, what was said on Thursday did help. We also have numbers that came out on Wednesday that were bullish. That helped too. But what I really think is happening here is we got a short cover rally going into Friday. And I think Monday, if we don't keep that rally going, we're coming off hard. I don't think we have much more upside left. 43.5 in May crude is my prediction. Don't think we break that. And then from there, April 17th in that meeting, it's going to be interesting.
Is today's rally a gift for short sellers?
It's a gift for short sellers if it doesn't break 40. If it breaks 40, I'd be covering again now.
Do you think we've seen the worst for crude this year?
No, actually, if this meeting comes up and it's a fallout, which I don't think is going to happen, but if it is a fallout, I think we see back into the mid-20s. So my prediction is we do see down to 32. We see a little below 32, but there is that possibility that we could see worse for crude oil.
All right, Alan, going to leave it there. Thanks a lot.
Thanks,
Alan Harry. Michelle, over to you. All right, thanks so much, Melissa. The big gain in oil you're just talking about, not doing much for stocks. Dow getting a little boost from Exxon and Chevron, and the S&P 500 right now is higher by about 8 points. We got Art Cashin sitting here down with us at the floor of the NYSE. We have seen historically, last 3 months at least, if you want to call that historic, that when oil is strong, the market is strong, and that's not happening today. Why do you think that is?
Well, as the previous guest just said, most of the professional traders think that oil move today is very much 90 to 100% short covering. So that could make the move up in oil rather short-lived. In fact, he said that it might end on Monday. So the early rally faded, and we're having some difficulties holding on to plus territory because people think that the basis of the equity rally is based on short covering, and therefore it could be rather ephemeral. So nobody wants to double down in here.
What do you make of Janet Yellen saying that we're not in a bubble economy at this point?
Yeah, I think she wanted to give a message to a couple of people who are noticeably speaking out right now. So we'll
the hawks on the committee.
Yeah, well, and to a couple of presidential candidates.
Of course. Like we're talking about Donald Trump.
Yes.
Yeah, let's underline that. Bob Pisani's raised an interesting point, which is that there's very low expectations for earnings. So low, maybe it's priced in, and if you get any surprise on the upside there, you might set yourself up for a nice summer rally.
Well, that's a distinct possibility, but Bob is dead right. They have lowered the bar so much that you will see probably, in some cases, lower year-over-year earnings and revenues, and it'll be tough to beat it negatively. So you should get a little bit of a beat on the upside.
Art, good to have you.
My pleasure.
Art Capson joined us here at the Stock Exchange. So Hank Paulson was on CNBC earlier today as the former Treasury Secretary. He says he's troubled by the Obama administration's stopgap answers to prevent corporate inversion deals.
To say I'm troubled and disappointed is an understatement. That I think we all know that the root cause here of the problem is this antiquated, outdated tax system that puts U.S. corporations, multinationals, at a competitive disadvantage with their foreign competitors. We're a nation of laws and rules, and you can't change the rules. You shouldn't be changing the rules after the facts and changing them and changing them and changing them again.
Thoughts now from CNBC senior contributor Larry Kudlow and CNBC contributor Robert Reich, former Labor Secretary and UC Berkeley professor. Secretary Reich's book is called Saving Capitalism. Welcome to Power Lunch again, guys. Good to see you. Larry, what do you make of what Hank Paulson said? Is he right when it comes to Jack Lew having changed the rules of the road in the middle the Pfizer deal?
Spot on right. Spot on right. I mean, let's get on with the root cause of all this, which is the absence of tax reform. And as Paulson said, our system hasn't been reformed in 30 years. It's antiquated, and we're losing competitiveness all over the world. Why do you want to double tax multinationals, once in their home domicile and again overseas? That's dumb. Why is our rate at 35 to 40%, which is the highest in the world? Why don't we have cash expensing? Look, Robert Reich's book should tell the story. We want to save capitalism, but unless we get our corporate tax system in shape and competitive, we're not going to save capitalism.
Secretary Reich, above and beyond all that, how about the basic idea that the rules were one, A, and then suddenly Jack Lew decided that they were going to be B? When President Obama came out and touted what the Treasury Secretary had done, he said, American companies should like being in America because rule of law. And yet it feels like this is a complete violation of rule of law, changing the rules in the middle of the game. Even if you don't like the Pfizer deal, should it have been dealt with this way, Secretary?
Well, it's a good point, and it's a good question. The federal government is always making regulations, changing regulations. Agencies are often changing regulations. They are changing regulations because the situation demands that regulations be modified or changed or adopted. And this was not done without any due process at all. It was done in full view of everybody else. The really difficult thing here, and I want to go back to something that Larry said, is we do have an antiquated corporate tax system. And many people looking at it say that it's wrong, we need corporate tax reform, but we have very different views of what that tax reform ought to look like. And when Larry says, for example, that we are losing competitive advantage, the real operative question is who's we, Kimosabe? Because these global corporations are we in terms of their shareholders, but their shareholders are global shareholders all over the world. It's not that the United States, per se, is the object of concern of these global corporations. They want to maximize shareholder returns, which is understandable. That's what they should do. But the government here in the United States has an obligation to the people of the United States. That's where competitive advantage comes from.
Robert, look, I agree with you. There's no due process on it. I agree. That's a good point. And I agree with Michelle. We can't just pop these regulations in overnight without discussion, committee hearings. So that's all wrong. But in terms of the substance of the issue, how can you say this? Everybody has a stake in America, but that stake is shrinking, including American companies who want to locate overseas. We need to keep them here. America should be winning the global race for capital and investment. Instead, we are losing it. That's one of the reasons our productivity has collapsed, and that's one of the reasons our economy is so small. We have to come into the 21st century, Bob.
Larry, you are absolutely 100% wrong about that point. The United States economy is doing much better, if you hadn't noticed, than Europe, than Japan, even arguably, we don't have the data on it, than China. The United States economy is the big success story of the world right now. American corporations are doing wonderfully well. I mean, the problem is not with regard to our system. Our system is actually functioning extraordinarily in a positive way. The problem is that our tax system is antiquated. Congress has been...
All right, I guess this is sufficiently long enough, I suppose. So I'm gonna cut it here and see how big these freaking files are.